Hello, Jerry here with Season 5, Episode 40 of Ask Jerry Tachoir. If you'd like to ask me a question, there's two ways of doing it. First, you can go to my website, which is tachoir.com, Tachoir.com, and in the upper right-hand corner is a little Contacts tab. Just click on that, fill out your name and email, and ask your question. Perhaps we'll do one of these videos. The other way is to, in the suggestions below here on YouTube, there's a little area where you could post a comment or ask a question. You can do it that way. But a better way would be, again, just to go to my website. And I also ask, please, if you would subscribe to this channel. It helps out with the algorithm in YouTube to get more people to watch this video. So it's just something that we hope you would do. And just subscribe. It's real easy to do. Today's question comes from Robert in Montreal. Hello. I've seen you perform many times. Playing vibes is very strenuous, let alone carrying one to the gig. How do you manage to keep it together and continue performing at such a high level? Looking forward to your answer. Best, Robert. You know, Robert, this was a question. Well, let me preface this by saying, about 50 years ago, when I was first signed as an endorsing artist by Mr. Ludwig, one of my very first clinics, and again, I was at Berklee College of Music at the time. I was a student, but one of my very first clinics was at Eastman School of Music. And I remember being a little nervous about this because Eastman, was a very prestigious, and still is a very prestigious school. So I was, the new kid on the block, and I was kind of like worried about, are they going to stump me, or are they going to ask a question that I can't figure out or whatever. Anyway, so I did the clinic. I went out and I played a couple tunes. I opened it up for some questions. One of the very first questions, guy stood up and he goes, "So Jerry, do you work out?" And for a minute I was like glazed. I was like, oh. I was expecting like harmony questions or technique questions or dampening things on the vibraphone, and it's kind of stunned me for a second. And then I got thinking. I said, okay, well, first of all, as a percussionist, and in this case, for me, I'm primarily now a vibraphone and marimba player. These are big instruments. They're big, they're heavy, they're strenuous to play. So the question that was posed actually made a lot of sense, because if you want to play these instruments and have any kind of longevity in your career, you have to work out. You have to stay in good physical shape. You have to be able to, again, carry the instrument, play the instrument, and look at it. You're standing on predominantly one leg. Your right foot is on the pedal So which means you're basically standing on the heel of your right leg. And again, that's a physical demand on that side. And a lot of times when I play, as I'm playing, I need to go up to the upper octave, my left leg will extend, counterbalancing my weight so I don't fall over, so I can play up here, because I got to keep my right foot on the pedal. And then when I go down, a lot of times my left leg will actually go like behind me, again, to counter my weight so I don't fall over. And so these kind of things are very strenuous. I know there are a few players now who do sit down, but I find that that forces you into like a position where you can't really reach the extreme instruments, and I just don't see it as something that I would do. So anyway, physical exertion of standing behind your instrument is another thing you've got to deal with. So yeah, work out, stay in shape, and you'll have a decent career. Now, about, I guess it was 8 years ago at this point, I went to the local YMCA, excuse me, and I took a yoga class. And this was an eye-opening experience. I never did yoga before, but I became aware of a couple things. First of all, yoga is a great mental exercise as well as a physical exercise, as well as it helped me with breathing. And that's the one thing I got in touch with the most. I became aware as the teacher was, holding a pose or something, that, okay, inhale and hold it, now exhale, and then go into this next pose, take a deep breath, and then hold the pose. And I was aware of the breath at that point, how it was vital to allow you to get the most out of the exercise that you were doing. Coming over to this instrument, I started realizing that when I played aggressively and fast, I wasn't breathing. I was actually holding my breath. So I was keeping all that energy in me because I wasn't breathing through it. As I'm doing this yoga, then I became aware of the breath. I became aware of relaxing my body and my mind and breathing through the challenging things. Taking a deep breath and then playing the line, exhale, take a deep breath, play the line. And for some reason, it changed the way I think, it changed the way I feel, and it changed the sound of my playing, because now my breathing incorporates with the lines that I'm playing, and it just seems to flow better, and it makes more sense. And again, I don't get as tired as I used to get before. When you're holding your breath, you're depriving your body of oxygen. And when you're doing the most aggressive things is probably when your body needs the most oxygen to maintain that kind of physical demand that you're doing. So the breath became extremely important to me. And again, like I said, as my melodic lines develop, I found that by breathing, and I guess this is something that like vocalists experience too, because as you're singing a line, you get to the end of the line, you got to take a deep breath to continue the next line, and there's the same kind of effect. So as you're playing, you're breathing, take a deep breath, play another line, you're coming down, you get to the bottom, take a deep breath, and it just sounds better, it makes more sense, and allowed me as a player to not be as stressed out and kind of get my head in a nice space and relax. And I advise it. I mean, it worked for me. Yoga is one of those things that just seems to fit my personality really well. And it is a physical exercise too. So in addition to the breath and in addition to working out a relaxation of your mind and the consciousness that goes with it, you're also getting the physical thing to keep your muscles tight and in shape. Robert, that's about all I have to offer. I mean, as we age, obviously, our bodies slow down and things get a little bit more difficult, and we got to do whatever we can to try to maintain it so that we can continue and have some longevity in our career. That's all I have to offer you at this point. But anyway, I'm looking forward to some more questions, so please go ahead and send me some questions. And we're already into season 5 of this, and it's kind of amazing that it has gone on that long. I really wasn't expecting that, but I'm looking forward to at least 10 more of these to get me to season 6, see what happens. Anyway, thanks very much, and looking forward to some more questions. See you next time. Bye-bye.